Hello, I'm Philip Burgess, the Head of Knowledge Transfer and Communications for the Potato Council, and I'm here at the East of England Potato Day with Mark Stalham of NIAB Cambridge University Farm, who has recently completed a 3-year project funded by the Potato Council on late season water management of potatoes. Could you explain to us then the main findings from that 3-year project?
Yes, I'm being here basically at the beginning of September, when we've had a remarkably early season when a lot of crops have actually senesced and died. There are still a number of crops out there that are still being scheduled or still requiring water to continue to grow. And that's one of those things that we've worked on projects with the Potato Council on Common Scab at the beginning of the season. People tend to neglect the impact of forgetting to water in dry seasons towards the end of the crop's life. So we're typically talking the end of August and into September with some of the late season varieties. And the reason is that previous work we've shown that if we control the water content of tubers, the tuber turgor, or the elasticity of the tuber, we can actually prevent bruising, all other factors being equal. One of the key things that we found out of various collaborative projects with commercial companies is that by allowing soils to dry out very significantly towards the end of the season, bruising risk always increases, and we're trying to identify whether that's a common scenario or whether it's actually something that's just an artifact of different crops. So we've been doing some controlled experiments over the last 3 years in the project, and they by and large have shown consistently that if we stop watering at the beginning of August and allow the crops to survive on natural rainfall, that bruising risk is increased, and we see the consequences of improved cropping where we actually manage the water. We've also, as part of the project, been following commercial crops in a less rigorous way. We're just looking at whether growers follow a rigid regime, whether they're likely to reduce bruising by actually maintaining soil moisture deficits at a level that would encourage them that they're not getting a yield loss, but not allowing the soils to dry out. The summary of that project is not quite as clear cut, in that it's actually showing that there's huge variation between individual growers, between individual fields that growers grow, and that irrigation is largely tempered out by some of the other factors that control bruising. But nevertheless, with some varieties, we're actually finding that the relationship still applies. So by allowing the crop to dry out the soil to excess amounts, bruising risk is increased. So one of the fears about maintaining soils wet by late season irrigation is the fear that harvesting conditions will improve because the soils will be waterlogged. One of the fears of that is largely unfounded, that if it's going to rain, it will rain and top up any soil, let alone those ones that have been irrigated during August. But the other fear is the fear that actually crops will not set skins sufficiently to be able to harvest. And the project has really quite clearly stated there, experiments have shown that we do not hinder skinset by maintaining soil moisture deficit at an adequate level. Not maintaining them very wet, maintaining an adequate level to reduce bruising, we've actually stopped them from setting skin. So that is something that we can sort of say to growers that is not an issue they need to be concerned about.